Hey squad, welcome back to Prepping with Sarge. So how many of you remember that show that was on a few years ago called Doomsday Preppers, right? And at the beginning of every episode, they would ask the person or persons that were on there, what are you prepping for, right? And they would always say something kind of off the wall, like, I'm prepping for the zombie apocalypse. I'm prepping for EMP-powered cockroaches. I'm prepping for a mass extinction event, right? Now, not to say that, like, mass extinction events certainly could happen, and we know that big catastrophic things do happen sometimes in the world. But I always found it an interesting question because I get that now sometimes, right? And usually from people that are either brand new to prepping or people who are not preppers who might just be a little bit curious about it, right? In fact, I was recently on a podcast for people who are non-preppers, just asking me about the preparedness culture and the preparedness niche, and that was one of the first questions they asked. And my answer to it is always the same. I'm prepping for retirement, right?
I'm prepping for retirement.
Right? Because that's my hope, is that we don't have some big extinction level event. We don't have World War III. We don't have some EMPs over the United States or anything else that's going to drastically change the world forever. Right now, I'm not stupid, I'm not blind. I know there's a lot of bad stuff that's going on in the world. I know there's a lot of tension that's building up, and that World War III is a very high possibility, if not a probability. But at the same time, I don't want to ever be so blinded to my fear of like these big catastrophic events that I'm not prepping for the possibility that they don't happen. And that's what today's video is about. Folks, if you're brand new to the channel and you like what you see, please consider subscribing. If you get anything of value out of this, please consider giving me a thumbs up. And also don't forget to check in the description down below. I put some links for some products and resources that I think you might like in your preparedness journey. All right, so what are we talking about here specifically? When I talk about preparing for retirement, so those of you who've been with me for a while, you know that my primary job is I'm a licensed mental health counselor, and I've been in the field for a long time. I'm not quite close to retirement. I've still got about 15 years or so to go before I can start to crunch those numbers and possibly retire. But that's my goal, right? Like, I'd like to be able to retire one day. I'd like to be able to, and I won't probably, when that time comes, if my health is still good, I probably won't fully retire. I'll probably just do things a little bit differently, probably leave my full-time job at that point and work a little bit more independently. Now, I already do some independent consultation and things like that, so I've already got the bricks laid down. I'll just be able to expand upon that and full-time be my own boss. So how do I do that? Well, obviously financial preparedness is a big part of that, right? And so we know that recessions will come and go. We know that certain assets tend to do better over time, such as real estate and gold and silver tend to be a little bit more stable than some other assets. And, I've done tons of videos on that. We don't need to reinvent the wheel with this. But also, I'm always thinking about, like, what do I got for debt, right? Like, I still have a mortgage. I'm trying to pay that down, and different things like that. I've got a car loan for my vehicle, and I'm thinking about, like, how much time do I have to pay that down? And then what do I want to do next time? Because this is probably not going to be my last vehicle. I'm probably going to need one or two more vehicles before retirement. So I want to be in a position where I can put down as much cash as possible, right? So frugal living for sure should be part of that. And just like everybody else, I've got my vices. You guys know I like to collect knives and things like that. That's not cheap, but try to stay within your budget. That's another big theme we throw out here on this channel. So the message there is that don't become so catastrophic in your thinking that you think that that retirement for you is not possible. That I see a lot of people in the community, especially in the forums, who say, well, I don't save anything. I put all my money into preps because I believe the end is imminent. That's a big bet. That's a big bet. And it's important to recognize that every generation, since at least for the last 2,000 years, and probably going back before that, has believed that they were the last generation, has looked to signs that they were the last generation. So these signs have always been there. There's always been war. There's always been poverty. There's always been famine. There's always been political strife. Always. For thousands of years, that's been the case, right? So there's not anything new under the sun here in terms of you know, these signs that we're supposed to be looking for. So none of us know. If you're Christian, none of us know except for the Father, right? When that day will come. So why not, for you, why not play both sides of the game, right? So think about a future where maybe none of these big catastrophic events happen, but be prepared as well, right? So my theory, I know that the CDC used to have a message where if you prepared for the zombie apocalypse, you're prepared for anything. I actually take it the opposite route, in that start by preparing for small events that you know are going to happen. Recession, storms, possible loss of job, a sudden illness, sudden horrible things happen that need repairs in your vehicle, in your home, right? All of those things, prepare there, and then keep going. Don't stop. Like, because you're prepared for a hurricane in your area, don't stop. Because you're prepared for tornadoes, don't stop. Keep going. So if you start small, localized, it also becomes easier to manage, both on your budget and your anxiety, right? So you start preparing for these small, localized events that you know are going to happen, but keep going. And then what you'll find is that after a year or two of prepping, you're probably going to be better prepared for most of the big things if they do happen, but you also haven't completely blown your budget. You also haven't completely run up your credit cards, and you are now, hopefully, because you've done both, are also a little bit better prepared for your future financially, right? Financial stability, and hopefully maybe one day you too can retire. I hope that for you. I truly do. Folks, I hope this little message was helpful for you. Again, if you got anything of value out of this, please consider giving me a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. I usually go live on Friday nights. Occasionally I take a night off, but I'm usually live on Friday nights. Love to have guests. We do lots of product reviews, foraging instruction videos. I've got a whole playlist here of over 100 foraging videos. We've got at least 75, I think, gardening tutorials. And tons of product reviews here, all kinds of different things that are going to help you become a little bit more self-sufficient. Keep planting your seeds, keep stacking your silver. This is Prepping with Sarge.